Can I be petty and a bit of a jerk for a second? I mean, like, what's the deal with y'all catch and release fisher folk? I don't get that. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Out There JCH. I'm your host, Jonathan C. Hall. And today I want to talk about a topic that's maybe a little bit controversial: catch and release fishing. So before I begin, let me outline first about what I'm talking about with catch and release fishing. And then I'll talk about the issues that I have with it. So when I talk about catch and release fishing, I'm not talking about the practice of fishing where you catch a fish and then make a decision in the moment to release that fish. There's lots of reasons why you would catch a fish and then say, you know what, I'm not going to keep this fish, I'm going to throw it back. I don't have an issue with that. There's also lots of research that involves fish and fisheries that necessitate catching fish and then putting them back in the environment. So when I talk about catch and release fishing, I'm not talking about fish research. When I'm talking about catch and release fishing, and the issue that I have with catch and release fishing is when somebody gathers all their fishing gear together, and before they get out there, they say to themselves, it does not matter what I catch, how many I catch, how big they are, every single thing I'm going out there to catch or will catch will be put back in the water. Growing up, this was something that I never really understood from a food provisioning standpoint. When I went fishing, it was always to catch fish to take home and eat. I grew up in a family that loved eating fish, that valued eating fish, and that was something that was really important to us. As I've gotten older, I've continued to be bothered by the concept of catching fish and releasing them, and that being your only interaction with the fisheries and the fish that you catch. And the central question that decides whether or not you're a catch and release fisher person, subsistence fisher person, I think boils down to, what is your relationship with fish? I think if you view fish as strictly a resource with no inherent agency that humans need respect, then I think it's very easy to justify being a catch and release fisher person. But if you view fish as a relative, as a group of species that have agency, that need to be respected, then I think that orients you to a better position and a better relationship with your fish relatives. So aside from the issue of thinking of fish as things, as a resource without agency that you can do whatever you want with, I think there's also a difficult moral argument to make that fishing is simply a form of entertainment. Hey, I'm just doing this for fun. It's not about eating the fish, it's about honing my skills. It's about just being out there on the water. It's about bonding with the other humans that are with me. And all of that I think is great. It's also not exclusive to catch and release fishing. Those of us who fish to feed ourselves also experience those same things. It's also fun to catch fish.
That monster! Yeah! Look at that monster!
We bond with others that are around. We're honing our skills and learning how to fish. But even if we were to accept all of that, if it's for fun, then every other relationship that we have as human beings with our entertainment, there's some form of compensation that we offer those individuals and those communities that are entertaining us. We can think about sports, right? You pay a fee to access sports. It goes to paying the salaries of those people who are entertaining you. But in a catch and release situation, if you're doing it for your entertainment or fun, then my question is, what direct compensation are you providing the fish that you're causing harm to that is going to compensate them for the fact that they have been harmed? Now, some might say, well, what harm, or what compensation are you providing the fish that you kill and eat? And I would say that that's a different relationship than entertainment. Human beings cannot exist without harvesting other organisms, parts or wholes of other organisms to sustain us. We would cease to exist. But if you're going to say that you're a catch and release fisher person and that relationship is based on your entertainment, if you're not compensating those individuals and that community, then are you really in a good relationship with those organisms? So one other comment that I got when I posted that short was, I'm a catch and release fisher person because the fish in the places that I like to fish are not consumable. The water is polluted to the point where I couldn't eat the fish even if I kept them. So why would you spend the time causing harm, albeit it's not harm to the level of death, to organisms that are already suffering? You know, this really actually illustrates corrupt logic of catch and release fishing. So I'm willing to cause harm and be entertained by organisms that are suffering, but I'm not willing to take those organisms into my body because I recognize that they are poison. Then if you recognize that danger to you, but you're still willing to cause harm to be entertained to those organisms, then again, what compensation are you providing to that community that you know is suffering? So that's really kind of the issue that I have with catch and release fishing. If you call it entertainment, then how are you compensating those who you are entertained by? And I think for a lot of catch and release fisher folks, the answer is they're not. If you find that argument legitimate, then what is the calculus that you're using to compensate the fish that you're causing harm to? In general, as I've gotten older, I've tried to change the way that I've been socialized to think about our relatives, from thinking about them as things that don't have agency, that don't have consciousness of any kind that I need to respect, and that are just there to be used at my whim. And I've shifted to thinking about beings as having agency, as having desires and consciousness that needs to be respected. Not that it's the same consciousness that I have, but in general, thinking about other beings as me needing to account for the harm that I might cause those individuals. So my responsibility to this fish here that I know I'm going to consume is to end their life quickly. And that's what the Ikejime method offers. But yes, it is undeniable that fishing to consume those animals is going to cause harm to those individuals. So if I'm going to harvest an individual, take its life, and consume its body, if I am attempting to be in good relations with that organism's community and that organism specifically, in my recognition of the fact that my harm is unavoidable, but I want to do right by those individuals, then I have a responsibility to use their bodies to the best ability that I can, to the most ability that I can, so that I can honor the lives that I've taken. Also, fishing for consumption, I think, creates a responsibility to the remainder of that community that exists to treat them as well as I possibly can, to not harass them, to not cause harm to them, unless it is necessary for my subsistence. So that means I'm only going to put hooks in the water to catch individuals to consume. I'm not going to put hooks in the water and cause harm to the members of that community simply to be entertained. Fish are not here for our entertainment. They can be here for our subsistence and sustaining our lives. That is one area in which they can exist that I think is morally defensible, but entertainment I don't think is one of them. So if you're somebody who likes to only catch fish and just release them back into their environment, more power to you. I would just challenge you to think about how you are compensating those organisms for the harm that you're causing. And that I hope that any relationship that we have with any other beings are not strictly for entertainment without compensation. Yeah. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video and listening to my thoughts and musings, and I'll see you on the next episode of Out There JCH.